of Radio Caribbean International. Of course, the number to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, it is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. And our WhatsApp number, 724-0008. Now, for today, we're going to send out some birthday greetings. First, Mr. Timothy Favre, happy birthday to you, sir. And we do hope that you're having a wonderful birthday celebration. And also to Mr. Venus Cherry, happy birthday to you. Wishing you an absolutely wonderful birthday. Also sending some birthday greetings out to Miss Anjani Singh. Happy birthday to you. And we do hope that you're having a splendid birthday celebration. And also to Mr. Shakir Lubin. I saw you over the weekend and you looked like you were pretty good and in high spirits. And we do wish that you're having a fantastic birthday celebration. I look back in time. In the year 1616, the first non-aristocratic free public school in Europe was opened, and that was in the town of Frascati in Italy. In the year 1821, on this day, September 15th, the Act of Independence of Central America, so Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua, declaring their independence from the Spanish Empire. In the year 1835, the HMS Beagle on this day, with Charles Darwin on board, reached the Galapagos Islands. In 1916 on this day, the first use of tanks in warfare saw Britain's Mark I at the Battle of Flers-Courcelette. That was part of the Battle of the Somme back in World War I. 1928 on this day, Scottish bacteriologist Alexander Fleming discovered penicillin while sorting through petri dishes containing colonies of the bacteria Staphylococcus. In the 1940, the Battle of Britain saw the RAF, the Royal Air Force, repulsing a major Luftwaffe attack, losing 29 aircraft to the Germans' 61. In the year 1992, on this day, George Soros' Quantum Fund began selling large amounts of pound sterling, helping force the pound out of the European exchange rate mechanism the next day and earning him the label, the man who broke the Bank of England. We now move on to our dish of the day.
Every bed in our hospitals tells a story of someone's mother, someone's brother, someone's friend. And when that story of care is complete, it's time for the next chapter, home. But too often, discharged patients are left waiting hours, days, weeks, sometimes months, not because they want to stay, but because no one comes. We understand life gets busy, but every extra day they wait means another patient, perhaps in pain, perhaps in crisis, can't get the bed they desperately need. So when the call comes that your loved one is ready, please be ready too. Pick them up. Bring them back to the comfort of family, where healing truly continues. Because caring doesn't end at discharge. It continues with you. A message from the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
And welcome back to the lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. Of course, we do hope that you had a very good weekend. It was a weekend of mixed success in terms of sport. And first off with the St. Lucia Kings, they took up against the Guyana Amazon Warriors in the CPL tournament for 2025 and came out with a total of, I think, 185 runs after losing 4 wickets for their 20 overs. But unfortunately, that was not enough to defend with the Warriors, although seemingly at one point losing some significant wickets. Even the loss of Hetmeyer, quite shockingly, for naught. But unfortunately, they were still able to hold on. The tail end was able to hold on and, in fact, go on to make the required total. And so that, of course, has allowed for Guyana to better place themselves. But in terms of St. Lucia Kings, they in fact continue to be on the top of the rankings after their 10 matches, and that was pretty good. But Guyana went on, in fact, to win their the 2 matches over the weekend, which they in fact played, and that thrust them up to, in fact, winning 6 matches in total compared to the Kings' 5. But the difference there comes down to the fact that they lost. They're in the same number of points, but the Kings have had a better run rate, and so they still, in fact, are on the top of the tables, and so it'll be very, very interesting, of course, as the week continues, as we enter the playoff period. Guyana Amazon Warriors now, in fact, being thrust into second place as a result of their very, very successful weekend over at Providence Stadium in Guyana. Now onto the track over at Tokyo, and of course our hopeful sprint queen Julian Alfred gave it her all and came out in third place for the 100 meters race, the finals there, and going up against some very seasoned runners, as well as Melissa Wooden, who's of course been having a remarkable season thus far, and so of course she in fact came up on top, Melissa Jefferson Wooden, with a very, very good time indeed for the gold medal. And I believe one of the twins, was it Tina or Tia? Yeah, one of them ended up winning the second place medal for Jamaica. Jamaica had a pretty good run as well in the men's 100 meters with Seville, in fact, Oblique Seville, being able to take control of that race. Unfortunate false start from Mr. Tebogo, who won the Olympic medal in the 100 meters over in Paris quite recently, in last year rather, and but he was of course disqualified. And the 2 Jamaicans coming up on top, Kishan Thomas and Seville, in the first place. Noah Lyles being relegated to the bronze medal in that race, and so certainly a lot of celebration for Jamaica. Tina Clayton getting the silver in the women's, and of course Seville and Thompson in the men's 100 meters. Unfortunately, some news coming out of Julian Alfred's team indicating that she's in fact had to withdraw from the 200 meter competition, and that is due to injury to her hamstring. And of course, health first, and they certainly do want to put her best interest at the forefront. And I think a very good decision being made by her team not to send her out into harm's way, and to allow her the space and time she needs to recuperate. And so, of course, very, very wonderful performance, of course, coming on the backdrop of winning the gold medal and silver medal in the 100 and 200 in the Olympics, and now winning a bronze. I believe the first time St. Lucia actually going up on a podium at the World Championships with that bronze medal. So certainly, again, kudos to Julian Alfred and her wonderful, wonderful performance indeed. And we do hope to see continued success from her in the months and years ahead. Now, on to the matter of politics. It's been a pretty busy weekend as well in that regard, and I suppose there will be a number of busy weekends to come as we are seeing the ramping up of The discord, we're hearing quite a lot in the way of politics from the respective camps in St. Lucia right now. Although elections constitutionally expected somewhere around July of 2026, it can be called at any time. And a number of countries have gone to the polls this year in the Caribbean. And we are, in fact, expecting some more to head to the polls. St. Vincent, I believe, is actually due an election any time around now, but certainly by November of this year, one would expect it. I think Grenada may very well also be heading in that direction. And, of course, that's against the backdrop of Trinidad and Tobago. We've also seen Jamaica as well as Guyana. Some of the more developed countries within the CARICOM space making some decisions in terms of their democracy. In some instances, the incumbents holding on, and that's in the case of Guyana and in Jamaica, where PPP Civic as well as the GLP have held on. In fact, in the case of Guyana, I think the announcement of the new cabinet is here, and we've seen a lot of the familiar faces, persons who held the same portfolios. Some of them are, in fact, continuing the same foreign minister, Mr. Todd, same public works minister, Mr. Juan Edgehill. A lot of familiar faces within the PPP Civic, and they, of course, will want to continue to see the continued growth and development of Guyana as it is coming to a very, very exciting period in terms of its development. That said, of course, it certainly does not want to squander the opportunity that oil and gas is affording its people at this time. And we're seeing quite a lot in terms of some very transformational infrastructure being done while also balancing it out in areas of social development, new schools being built, hospitals, expansion of new power plants, and of course significant road infrastructure, and a brand new bridge across the iconic, one could say now, bridge across the Demerara River, connecting the east bank of Georgetown to the settlements beyond on the west bank. And so certainly it is a very, very exciting time for that country. Excuse me. And no doubt for many countries in the Caribbean, looking at the current growth trajectory, where to head to, and what really should be coming out of the decisions being made by politicians. Now, even within that context, however, we certainly do need to play our part. And one of the areas which, of course, we've been hearing quite a lot of call for in terms of public responsibilities in the matter of security, and the importance of being our brother's keeper, and the importance of being able to monitor what is going on the streets, and to be able to also report crime and unacceptable behavior when it actually arises. But another matter that sometimes we and we've been battling this one for quite some time, and it is a matter of antisocial behavior, is the matter of garbage and how we in fact keep our country beautiful. And there have been many efforts over the years, from Police Zordi to efforts at trying to encourage individuals to recycle. We've heard about returnable containers. We've heard about the efforts being played by some businesses to reduce on garbage bags. But it is still a very unfortunate situation when individuals are enjoying themselves, and especially in public spaces, and they're leaving their waste behind. And a good gentleman, former principal of the Barbano Secondary School, Mr. Terence Fenelon, posted earlier on. He's quite often at the beach, quite often at VG Beach, taking it all in as a place of meditation and relaxation. But I noticed he posted earlier on today an unfortunate sight of garbage just simply strewn on the beach. And we certainly do need to do a little better in terms of that aspect of not leaving our waste behind, ensuring that we actually are cleaning up. If we are going to be having beach parties, if we are going to be having picnics or whatever the case may be in public spaces, we need to be doing a lot better in this regard. It is a major worldwide issue, the matter of plastics in our water, the impact that it's having on our fisheries sector, the impact that it has on marine life, on turtles, on a lot of aquatic life that come up on sometimes onto the beach, and when we know that it is actually killing them, it is having a detrimental impact in that regard. Microplastics are now getting into our food chain. They're getting into our bodies, and that's definitely cannot be good in the long run for us human beings. And so we do have to take some responsibility to take care of ourselves and to take care of our the space that we live in, and of course the need to be able to make that appeal, I think, is really important, because we don't need the police Zordi, or we don't need a beach ranger or whoever to be able to tell us that we need to keep our environment clean. And I think it's important for us to do so. It's not somebody else's business. It's not just the business of the National Conservation Authority to pick up waste, right? We have to take certain responsibility for ourselves to ensure that the places that we all want to be able to go and enjoy are clean. And I don't think anybody wants to be swimming at VG Beach and they're swimming amongst garbage and waste. We don't want to be going to the beach and having to deal with, a dirty beach. That's definitely not what we want for ourselves, and certainly not what we should want for other individuals who are also wanting to enjoy the beach. And if you want to take it from an economic perspective as well, if we are in the business of tourism, nobody wants to see a dirty beach. No, that's not attractive for anybody. And these are effectively our common spaces, and it's a space that we all have to enjoy. We don't have very many parks in this country. These are effectively our open spaces, and so let's try to keep it clean and do a better job regarding that. That's our dish of the day. When we come back, we'll take in our weather report.
This has been The Daily Dish.
Every bed in our hospitals tells a story of someone's mother, someone's brother, someone's friend. And when that story of care is complete, it's time for the next chapter, home. But too often, discharged patients are left waiting hours, days, weeks, sometimes months, not because they want to stay, but because no one comes. We understand life gets busy, but every extra day they wait means another patient, perhaps in pain, perhaps in crisis, can't get the bed they desperately need. So when the call comes that your loved one is ready, please be ready too. Pick them up, bring them back to the comfort of family, where healing truly continues. Because caring doesn't end at discharge, it continues with you. A message from the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs.
And it's now time for our weather report, brought to you by Island Style. Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home.
Really?
Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with these tile stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up.
What are you looking for?
Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle dazzle.
Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my #1 store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous tiles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for.
That sounds perfect.
I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation.
I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and View Fort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
And the forecast for St. Lucia valid for the next 24 hours. Winds will be blowing from between the east and east-southeast near 16 miles per hour or 26 kilometers per hour. Weather fair and warm, occasionally becoming cloudy with a few scattered showers. Forecast for the Lesser Antilles: partly cloudy to cloudy with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms over the Leeward and northern Windward Islands. Elsewhere, fair to partly cloudy with showers. The tropical weather outlook: moist, unstable conditions will cause scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms over the northern portion of the Lesser Antilles during the forecast period. A tropical wave located over the central tropical Atlantic is moving westward near 15 miles per hour or 24 kilometers per hour. This wave is expected to affect our region from late Wednesday into Thursday. Another tropical wave located over the eastern tropical Atlantic is also moving westward near 15 miles per hour or 24 kilometers per hour. There is a high chance of development of this wave as it moves over the central tropical Atlantic during the next 7 days. And that is your weather report, brought to you by Island Style.
This has been RCI's weather news. For call the weather hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 #1.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home.
Really?
Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with these tile stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up.
What are you looking for?
Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle dazzle.
Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my #1 store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous tiles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for.
That sounds perfect.
I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation.
I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and View Fort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
And welcome back to the Lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. Now, of course, the number to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. And our WhatsApp number, 724-0008. Again, 724-0008. Yesterday, in terms of the world of politics, we also saw the hosting of an event in the Castries East constituency, the constituency held by the Honorable Philip J. Pierre, of course, the Prime Minister of the country, and they having their annual general meeting of that constituency group there. And an announcement coming out of that, I believe, which of course many of these meetings are covered live, is that civil servants for a second year in a row will be enjoying a bonus, a $500 bonus. Of course, last year I think was the first time we saw that Christmas bonus being offered. And I think the last time I remember a bonus being provided by government was somewhere, I think maybe back in, around 99 or 2000 or thereabouts. And it was a sort of a performance-based bonus, which was on offer to sort of a mixed system, because I think the revenue-generating agencies were allowed to get a larger bonus because they were the ones actually generating the revenue. So almost like not really a commission, but sort of a bonus tied towards revenue performance that was offered back then. And of course, I think certainly the agencies like Inland Revenue and Customs were pretty happy for that. But of course, the idea of an across-the-board bonus for all civil servants is certainly I think this is a new, certainly something unprecedented in our context here in St. Lucia. In other jurisdictions like that of St. Kitts and Nevis, they being buoyed very heavily by revenue coming out of their CBI program, they've been able to afford, I think, a 13th month salary. In fact, that's what they give at the end of the year. They've done that on a number of different occasions. And some other countries, I think like Taiwan, also do a similar type of 13-month salary. Of course, that much more costly, but certainly that would be welcome news for the over 11,000 civil servants, public officers, teachers, and the like, who, of course, are employed with the government of St. Lucia. Now, on the matter of analyzing the policies that we've been hearing and pronouncements, of course, quite a lot coming out last week. Unfortunately for the United Workers' Party, a lot of the steam, I suppose, that they would have been hoping to have gained coming out of their event last week, Sunday, down at the Miku playing field, seemed to have been mired by issues regarding resignations and individuals who were very publicly supporting the United Workers' Party, seeming to switch or to be switching their support and allegiance to the St. Lucia Labour Party, or in some instances resigning. And we'd seen quite a number of them relatively early on. People like the chairperson of the party, very early on, Mr. Pinkley Francis, resigned from the United Workers' Party. We saw long-standing General Secretary, Mr. Oswald Augustine, in that same camp, resigning. But very recently as well, as a result of the presence on stage of a former MP and minister in the Alan Chastney cabinet, that of Mr. Edmund Estefan, that has caused for a lot of individuals to be paying a lot of attention on the matter of resignations, and some resignations coming out of the seats like Castries South East, I think, where the chairperson of that constituency group for the United Workers' Party resigning. Likewise, in the Castries South constituency, a very open public statement on air on a radio talk show by the former candidate for the United Workers' Party, Mr. Johannes, well known by many by the name Big Daddy. He, of course, also coming out and distancing himself from the current United Workers' Party. And that has not helped in terms of the overall imaging of the party. But of course, amongst many there, they are, of course, calling foul. And of course, we're hearing lots of unflattering words being put towards some of these individuals. And we're hearing some people labeling them as opportunists and what have you. Mind you, of course, the United Workers' Party has had a very long history of, in terms of its own formation, regarding persons who joined the United Workers' Party, candidates who were on one side switching allegiance to become members of the United Workers' Party. Very famously, back in 1964, and that was just after the United Workers' Party was formed. You'd recall that originally Mr. John Compton, the leader of the party, was a member of the St. Lucia Labour Party, was in fact a minister of government within the St. Lucia Labour Party. He went on to form the National Labour Movement, which eventually merged on August the 1st, 1964. I think it was Easter Sunday, meeting down in Vieux-Fort, and merged with the then existing opposition party, the People's Progressive Party, PPP, and formed the United Workers' Party. But he was successful in the polls thanks to two individuals who ran on independent Labour tickets and in fact switched their allegiance after that election, namely the Bousquet brothers, Mr. J.M.D. Bousquet, as well as Mr. Alan Bousquet. And they then became foundational individuals within the game, the chess game of the United Workers' Party. And certainly significant figures there. And of course, later on, we also saw that of Mr. Neville Snack, Sir Neville Snack now, who in fact crossed the floor after an election, after the second election in 1987. That was, of course, after the 9-8 result, which was repeated on two occasions. Mr. Compton not being satisfied with a one-seat majority, went back to the polls for a second time, still got the same result, and then saw a crossing of the floor of then Mr. Neville Snack, now Sir Neville, to join the United Workers' Party. So we certainly have seen how the United Workers' Party has certainly benefited over the years from switching of allegiances of individuals. And that does happen in politics. Individuals do switch. We would like to believe that they're doing so based on principles. We hope that they be doing so based on what they see as being better for the country, or some sort of maybe philosophical stance that they may be taking, that they decided that, look, this is where they want to go. On some occasions, of course, individuals sometimes decide not necessarily to switch completely, but to pull away their support from one side, and they may very well become independent, and they may run independent. Of course, the tradition is that, however, we have not seen that much success by way of independence in the St. Lucian electoral map. So it will certainly be interesting to see how these matters pan out, and whether in fact they will have a significant impact in the decision making of the average St. Lucian by way of support. Of course, quite often you do find, especially former MPs, they may very well have their own personal support, and that sometimes can lead to erosion of support if in fact they withdraw that support from the parties. But of course, it also gives a certain air of of confusion, and it sometimes may very well work towards definitely not helping that party, if that is in fact the case. Now, a very interesting piece penned today by Mr. Melanius Alphonse, based over in Canada, and he's writing on the matter of the Save Our St. Lucia 7, that policy plan or proposals that have been raised, that were raised last weekend by the leader of the United Workers' Party, Mr. Alan Chasney. And he's given a very, very long piece. I'm not too sure if we can actually get into everything, but let's see how far we can get. And it is called UWP SOS 7 Inconclusive. Reads as follows. The downward trend line of Alan Chasney's United Workers' Party, by definition, the UWP political club, and their awkwardness have once again attempted mindless droppings, Save Our St. Lucia SOS 7, on tenterhooks to gain traction. Already the United Workers' Party political club is not credible within its central core, and more broadly with the great general public of St. Lucia, and now suffers an ongoing electoral decline leading into the 2025-2026 general election. And according to election observers with any degree of accuracy and crystal ball, anticipates a November to December 2025 election. However, government sources say otherwise, to evident signals and uptick in the political atmosphere, the electoral department preparations, the election paraphernalia, and financing that is closely monitored. Alan Chasney's UWP is very much aware that their political popularity is fading in electoral reporting to date, polls, and ongoing data tabulation that are unfavorable, and more directly, at the leadership to grasp sympathy and support within the 43%ers, impressionable minds, the undecided, and new voters. The UWP flipped out SOS 7. The irony is, Five to Stay Alive and the shady deals that were defeated in 2021 are now being remodeled in SOS 7. Ideally, termination with the voting finger is an urgent adaptation. What is UWP SOS 7? The UWP SOS 7 is inconclusive. Not even the UWP strategists and politicos can explain with any degree of proficiency. Let's pause to take that in. Is SOS 7 a plan, policy, or program? A plan comprises detailed steps and or methods to achieve a specific goal or purpose. A policy is a proclamation of principles defining a course of action that provides a basis for consistent decision-making and specific procedures which outline the steps to implement the policy. A program is a plan of activities to achieve a specific goal. To advance UWP SOS 7, it is said that SOS plan inspires St. Lucians and that there is a, quote, renewed UWP with a plan to save St. Lucia. The inquiry is, to save St. Lucia from whom and for what? UWP SOS 7 includes remove the 2.5% levy, reduce gas prices within 30 days, introduce national health insurance coverage for all, $75,000 coverage, introduce free tertiary education at SALCC, pay pension to banana farmers who did not pay NIC, remove the dam dredging fee for residents of the South, reintroduction of border control, and expansion of the K9 unit. UWP SOS 7 antics cannot be interpreted as a blend between the old and the new UWP. Navigating this is dangerously behind the curve, part of a revisionist plan of 2021 and the intentions to twist hearts and minds. Back then, it failed miserably. In this scenario, it's easy to say no with the use of the voting finger for a good cause, cites Philip J. Pierre last Tuesday in Babonneau. The mood is red, he applauded. The UWP has and continues to blunder economic trends, modern sources of information, targeting employment trends to business priorities, ensuring that sectors can access resources to retool and diversify, education priorities, tech talent, physical development, and theoretical independence in a changing workforce. The UWP SOS incompetence would be more essential to reassess the health, security, and labor market trends for serious and significant policy formulation, and not SOS 7 antics to extort and right the wrong of incomplete adventures. The UWP SOS 7 is also producing sharply different interpretations. Emerging is a late cycle of reform behind the curve on healthcare, security, education, social safety net, and job creation. To draw attention beyond initial tax revenue cuts and the reintroduction of border control, a means to go around the Leahy law that St. Lucia is still under, raises security questions. Digital threats, security, safety, and sovereignty in multilateral institutions. St. Lucia's digital structure is exposed to vulnerabilities, surveillance, and strong arming. Current accessibility impacts business services and personal operations. The island's digital infrastructure needs to be strengthened, and notwithstanding the evident incongruity, matters of integration of immigration, customs, security, statutes, and the Constitution of St. Lucia, cross-border data sharing, and now the new external tariff policy, a total rethinking is paramount. Other aspects include monetary policy, revenue generation, education, housing, and in parentheses he has not 23 islands for elitist expats, expand trade opportunities, and to better formulate a Buy St. Lucia policy, foster new relationships beyond political insiders, special interests, neocolonialists, and oligarchs. To date, such an emphasis is abstract, keeping voters hoodwinked. And it goes on, and I don't think we're going to have enough time to actually go through this article because it does go on for quite some time. So we'll put a break on this, but of course this is available for whoever is interested, from Melanius Alphonse, who quite often makes contributions on his Caribbean News Now page, which has been providing sort of commentaries for quite some time. But we will leave that for the time being. One of the matters, of course, that has been quite topical was the issue of Sir Arthur Lewis Community College. And that is somewhat of an age-old debate, especially with respect to the leader of the opposition. In fact, you may or may not recall he had made utterances regarding the issue of the whole Sir Arthur Lewis Community College, suggesting that $15 million was too much to give the college. And this was, of course, when he was speaking sometime back around I think maybe around 2019. And of course, indicating that he did not want to provide any more support in that way, making the point that the government was already paying a tuition, and that worked out to be about $9,000 per student in terms of support, whereas students were at that time paying somewhere around $1,500. I think since then we have seen the costs at Sir Arthur Lewis Community College increase. I think tuition on average is somewhere around $2,500, and we've also seen the amount of support coming from the state increase as well. I think it is perhaps now approaching $19 or $20 million or thereabouts. So certainly, the matter of Sir Arthur Lewis Community College, the idea of being able to provide a tuition-free environment, one would have thought that effectively what is being suggested was that we would then see an increase in the amount of the subvention. So let's assume that there are about 4,000 students currently at the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College. It would then mean that you'll be speaking about if the average tuition was $2,500 per year. We're talking about an additional $10 million that the state needs to come up with. So the big question is exactly how is the state going to do so? But this was not the suggestion from Mr. Shastney, because in effect, you go back to what he said back in 2019, his thinking at the time was that he would have preferred to have taken that $15 million and just simply provide $3,000 scholarships to the number that he used was 5,000 students, regardless of the institution that they go to. So in other words, whether you go to Monroe College or you're going to maybe UE Open Campus or Southwest Community College, you would be given a $3,000 bursary, or if you like, scholarship to attend an institution of your choice. Now, of course, if you backtrack a little bit and use the rationale that Mr. Shastney was talking about, he was saying that government was supporting $9,000 worth of tuition. But then he was in the same breath saying he wants to provide $3,000 worth of tuition support to every student, regardless of where you go, which would mean that a student who previously would have been in a situation, let's say, using his math, you would have $9,000 provided by the state originally, and you're bringing in another $1,500. That's $10,500. Under his model, right, you would now have to figure out, well, if he's giving $3,000, it therefore means that you now have to come up with $7,500. So it actually would place the average student or going to Southwest Community College into a worse off situation if that was in fact the model that he was proposing. But most recently, based on a program that he was on just last week, his methodology now in terms of how are you going to be able to, I guess, afford this free tuition proposal, effectively what he was suggesting is that he wanted to see a streamlining of programs, and claimed that there were 42 programs that were being offered by the South Louis Community College, and he saw that was too much, and figured that it'd be better to streamline the offerings of the community college. And so that would, I assume, I guess based on his logic, would somehow result in savings sufficient enough to be able to make it easier for the government to be able to provide programs for South Louis Community College, maybe fewer teachers, maybe fewer things that are available. So that would somehow help. That I'm not sure is going to be necessarily a savings mechanism. Maybe it could save some, but would that savings be enough to necessarily be able to cover the additional cost that would certainly have to be borne by the state in respect of all students? So, of course, in principle, I think it's a wonderful thing if we can aim to have universal education, universal post-secondary education, right? That 2-year post-secondary offering that is made available through South Louis Community College, whether you're doing CAPE, whether you're doing an associate's degree, that program is most useful in terms of improving the human resource base of the country. And it would be great if everybody who wanted to enter or should be going into it could spend another 2 years in education. It has its benefits, I think so, and certainly because by doing that, you actually are creating a structural gain in terms of your employment figures. You're pulling people out, people who would generally have to be ending up in the workforce by the age 16, 17. If you're keeping them engaged in education for 2 additional years, you are in fact assisting in terms of reducing unemployment by doing that. And then, of course, hopefully by ensuring that they're better skilled, you are allowing them, or better educated, not necessarily skilled, but both skilled and educated. You would certainly be hoping to ensure that they could get employed quicker into the workforce, or absorbed better into the workforce because of the productivity that they can bring through their skills and education. That is a good plan. But of course, the question is, how can we, in fact, ensure that this is going to be afforded, and how can we ensure that this is something that can be achieved? So still going to wait to, I suppose, get more details on that matter, but we'll have to continue that conversation as well as others regarding that those proposals for our program tomorrow. Hope you can join us for that. And I'm your host, Calix George Jr., wishing you a very happy Monday.